And Jesus just said, it's time to start. So she's right. It's time to get started. Uh, let's see who's on right now. We've got Stan in here. We got, ooh, wow. Some of those are hard to read, aren't they? My goodness gracious. Uh, for all that are on, let's just see what we've got here. And participants, boom, I see that. Somehow we're not showing the screen that allows you to be part of the full box, as a matter of fact. So we're gonna give me a moment here while we kind of get things ready to rock along the way. As we mess up and go along here, yes, it will be recorded. Even my mistakes, they'll be recorded right along with it. So hang on just a moment here. Interesting, interesting. Okay, well, we had actually done a test run earlier today, so we'll just see how it goes. I know we've got several people on board. Anybody? There's a chat box. If you notice down at the bottom of the screen, there's a way to chat and so forth. And I know probably there'll be some other people coming on here shortly. So we'll wait a minute and see who else comes to join us today. Hope everybody's doing well today. Do you have a chance? Do you see a way to unmute your phone there, guys? If you do, unmute it and say hi to us. Do you see it there? Okay. There we go. Now we're cooking. And now we're cooking. Everybody there? I see Mrs. Black. My goodness, Mrs. Black. Okay. You got to unmute yourself. If you'll notice on the screen, there's a little box down to the left that says it has a cross across the microphone. So if you want to chat, press that button on the lower left, and you can talk away. Do you have a microphone? Who has a microphone? Kevin? Kevin's on. All right.
I don't have no mic.
Kevin, you don't have any mic? Is that what you said?
Stan.
Oh, Stan.
And I'm being funny because obviously you hear me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So good. Stan's on. Kevin, you got to unmute and say hi to everybody. What's going on, buddy? Are you there? Hey.
How's it going? This is Devin.
Hey, Devin's on. Is that Judith up there in the corner? Did you get your internet back, dear heart? Or are you on the phone? Which is it? Hey, can you see your button? You ought to unmute and talk to us. Come on. Say something. Say hi. There you are.
Hola.
Hola. Ah, yes, some Puerto Vallarta. Kevin, hi, buddy. Yeah, Judith up there from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. How about that nonsense, right? I really feel sorry for her, guys, because you know what? She lives like 12 steps from the ocean, and she has nothing but just palm trees around. She has a guy that delivers donuts to her door every morning, almost, and a taco stand on the corner where she can eat tacos and drink margaritas. Now, that's a tough life, isn't it? That's a tough life there, guys.
It is. You have no idea.
Yeah, I do have an idea. I do for a fact. Okay.
Whoa,
right.
Evan, look at that picture.
Yeah, well, you're a little fuzzy, Stan, but that's all right, buddy. You're in good shape. Well, it seems like we're getting the, oh, there we go. We opened up some more markets. We got some more people on board. I just found out that I have to hit the button to let people on. I guess I didn't know that before in the process. Gio's on. Hi, Gio. You on board there?
I was going to try and change my name.
Yeah, you can't.
Rename.
You can't protect the innocent. I'm sorry, dear. I see Devin's on. Bob Menken's on. Good. Bob. Hi, Bob. Appreciate all your advice, too. You've been doing a good job there, buddy. I appreciate it very much. It's amazing that I actually had a chance to talk to most of you personally, and that's kind of makes this all the more interesting. And I think probably since we've got a decent group here, and it's a little after 3, so why don't we go ahead and just kind of get rolling a little bit so I can give you an overview of what we're doing today, what it means, to be part of a chamber of commerce. And that's, of course, the reason the group's all here. And it's here to explain the benefits of it and how it can actually grow your business. So we're going to get into that a little bit and see exactly where it goes. So you guys hang on and let me get us a little screen share going on here. All right, boom, boom, boom. And how we got here? PowerPoint. And share, boom. And then down here, boom. We'll go to full screen. Okay, all right, guys. Now, just this is the whole core of why we have local chamber influencers. I have, in fact, used the Chamber of Commerce my entire career in digital marketing. I have had an agency for more than 10 years. I've had ups and I've had downs, just like you guys did. Had an interesting start in the business, and that's the reason that we have this going on, is because I want to show you not an easy way, but an effective way to get warm calls on a regular basis. And I know we all need that. We all want that. It's if you're working in the local space, then you want to know that you're actually being effective. And I'm sorry, I'm having to click on buttons here to let people in. I need to turn that switch off next time. Believe me, let them come in by themselves automatically. But what I did when I started was I thought interesting in retrospect. Now, I didn't know I was doing this to start with, guys. I mean, I'm not some brilliant dude, but as far as my background goes, I have had some experience. I'll get the button to work here. Are we going down or not? Yeah, okay. We're not going to go down. All right, fine. So let me just go through that. I'll get my PowerPoint to start working here in a minute, or I'll go back and do something else. But share a little experience with you guys. When I've actually owned 3 different companies over the last 35 years. I've not actually taken a paycheck from a company in that period of time. It's all been either produce it or not make it. That's so it's been a challenge along the way. I've had various types of businesses. I had a sports marketing company, which was very successful. I worked with the NFL and the NBA with my sports marketing company. I did 2 Super Bowls and 2 Pro Bowl promotions for the NFL. And that was quite an experience because it all came from one small agency. With that small agency happened to be me and my wife. So you can imagine what that was all about. But we did trail with one of the other ones was a transportation company, which I owned for 19 years. And we did same day deliveries. You know, you pick it up now, deliver it now. But I mainly worked at airports. We did everything from, I call it body parts to aircraft parts, because we were the main source to deliver kidneys, livers, hearts for transplant when they came in at the airport or were going out to the airport. And it was a great business for 19 years. Toward the end of that, my wife of 39 years became very ill with multiple sclerosis. And at that point in time, without having all the things that go along with our having the ability to have pre-existing conditions taken care of, like we do right now, at least for now, we didn't have any insurance, and all of her medical care and so forth. If you want to know the truth, pretty much X'd out all the great income that we'd had from our transportation company. So she did pass away, and at that point in time, I was then 2 weeks later, I went into the hospital for 5 weeks. And after I came out of the hospital, I couldn't do squat. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything for myself. It was one of those things that you just kind of never want to go through. And when I finally got my mind straight again, I said, you know, Catherine was my wife's name. Catherine never, ever complained with all the things that happened to her with her disease. And I said, why am I complaining? You know, I'm getting back my health. I'm doing fine. So I decided 2 things. One was to get back in shape. So I went to the Y on a daily basis, got back into some physical condition. I moved to a new town where the Y was located, which was about 10 miles away from where we lived. I didn't know a soul, not one soul. And I had $3,000 in the bank after all that money I'd made. And I went, okay, I got $3,000. I need to spend most of that to get a new house or rent a place of some sort. And I still had to buy a new laptop. So guess where the $3,000 went? So at that point in time, I was out on my own. And I decided to get into the digital marketing business at that time because I had run my own company on computers for so long that I thought, why don't I help other people do the same thing? So that's the reason I decided to get into the digital marketing space. And the very first thing I did was reach out actually to area people, the people that I looked like that they knew what they were doing in town, so to speak. Now, this is a town of about 45,000, 50,000. And that then led me to the Chamber of Commerce, which I had never, ever been a part of. I'd never even been around the Chamber of Commerce. And so I started seeing their events. And I started saying, okay, let's go to some of these events and see what it's all about. And I got my slides back up again, you know, to work with influencers to become an influencer. Okay. And I welcomed you already. All right. So that being said, I started going to their small events, the things that you won't go to normally if you're just a regular individual. But I was trying to get myself known out in the marketplace. I was trying to get a start, for goodness sakes. I didn't. In fact, to be honest with you, I didn't even know how to build a website. Okay, guys, had no idea how to build one. And after cruising around and doing some of the things I'm about to tell you about here this morning, I suddenly had like 3 different people that said, yeah, I've seen you and understand what you're doing some digital marketing. I need a website, but I actually need 2. So he had to have 2 different companies, you need 2. Then 3 days later, I had another one come to me and says, yeah, I understand you do this kind of work. Why don't you do a website for me? Now, this is after me being out and being noticed in the community through doing what we're going to talk about right now. And guess what? I didn't know how to build one. I had 3 that I sold. So I went to outsourcing and found some great people, one of which I still are in contact with after this years. And we built some great sites, which they were very happy with. And that was the beginning of my digital marketing company. So a little background there, guys, I thought might help you a little bit to know where I'm coming from, because I did build my entire business based on the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to show you how I did it. I said I had I thought I had it going anyway. All right. So first thing that we do in digital marketing, and I'm going to take this thing off screen share, so hang on a second. And I'm going to get back in here just a moment to see if it works better. So just bear with me, guys. I may just show a part of the screen here. Yeah, like that. Let's see if that works better. Boom, 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 boom. Isn't that wild? Just like live TV, right, guys? Just like live TV. And put it over here. That's not going to go. Resume slideshow. Boom, boom. There we go. All right. Joining the Chamber, there are some real misconceptions about the Chamber of Commerce. Some people think that, what can it do for me? What's it all about? And why should I even spend money doing it? It costs you yearly to be a member, but what do I get back for it? And that's always the question that I got over and over and over again. And that's fine. And I found the answer to be very simple. It is, first of all, it's not a networking group in its entirety. You certainly do networking there, but that's not the real crux of it. The other part is you have an opportunity to become a part of the community. There are many, many committees and all kinds of things within the Chamber that do good things around the community, which again gives you visibility. Whether the Chamber is actually a business, certainly it operates like a business, has a board of directors, has a chairman of the board, has a director of the Chamber, which, by the way, is hired and fired by the board of directors. He is not just automatically there by himself. So that it's run exactly like a corporation will be run, but it is not for profit. it generally pretty much eats up all of its budget by the end of the year, and then they wrap around and start over again. So it's definitely a not-for-profit organization. But I found out that it did a great deal for me in the process, and I didn't have to join. I'll tell you why in just a moment. The best way to get started and become a recognized member of the chamber is pretty darn simple. Every Chamber of Commerce has a monthly newsletter or a calendar, and they put out events that are going on. And those events can be anything like a business opening, a ribbon cutting, open house, an award ceremony, grand opening, business of the month. All those things are on their calendar. They're part of their daily operation, really. And when those things happen, and we as local marketers want to have visibility and a warm contact, there are many ways to use these particular events that are given all the time by the Chamber of Commerce. So in addition to those I just mentioned, there are some social events which are purely social. They have after hours events, they have some morning sessions, and those are like 2 to 3 a month, but the others happen several times a week. The ones in the open houses and the ribbon cuttings and the award ceremonies and the like. But what does it have to do with you growing a business? Good. That's my question to you. All right, but your question to me. So here's what it's all about. Let's take, for example, you go to a ribbon cutting and you've seen it on the calendar, and you say, okay, well, there it is. I think I'll put that on my to-do list for today. And I suggest in this particular situation that each and every one of you put these all on your calendar, because they're a way to prospect every time it comes on the calendar. So let's say we have a ribbon cutting. And at the ribbon cutting, you're going to go in, there'll be, 15, 20 people probably. Most of them from the Chamber of Commerce, some of them the friends of the owner, things like that. And each time that happens, in most cases, there's a newspaper camera there. And they're writing up the article about this local place opening up or having its grand opening or whatever else. And you stand in the group and you're part of the picture, visibility. As the ribbon cutting moves ahead, people are going to be milling about, and usually the person giving the ribbon cutting will have some tidbits to nibble on and things like that. So everybody kind of just roams around, says hi, and makes the owner of the company feel comfortable about the chamber and being part of the chamber and that type of thing. But what I ended up doing was very, very simple. I waited till it started clearing out a little bit. People would go on their way. And they might be, bank people, insurance people, local, all kinds of different businesses there. Even convenience store guys that were part of the chamber would come in just to honor that business. But I would hang around just toward the end, and I would go over and, of course, congratulate the owner for his ribbon cutting and all the good things, and wish him the very best in his business. And then I would simply ask him a question. And all of you will have a different way to approach them. But think about it for a minute. I'm there, I've honored his business, and I'm going to ask him a question, and it's hard for him not to reciprocate the fact that I've been there to honor his business. And I normally would ask, I'm really, really happy you're opening your business here. Let me just ask you a question. How are you planning on bringing in your customers? How are you going to make the phones ring? Things like that. And he would say, well, we're going to do this and this and this. And I said, well, I've got some ideas I don't know if I can help you or not, but I'd sure like to, chat with you and see if I can give you, be of some assistance to you, be of value to you. Could we get together next Tuesday and talk about it? Well, that simple interchange, because I was there to honor him, I had about an 80% yes, and I had an appointment. And so if I go to these meetings and 80% come out with an appointment, nobody else is asking for an appointment. I can guarantee you no one else is using this particular way of a warm contact. You can have upwards of 15, 20, 30 warm contacts every month, by doing this very thing. Now, I don't know, you may have something better to do than go out and meet people, but I don't think so. Not if you're a local agency in the process. Now, I know Devin's done a little bit of this. Devin, have you had any experiences that you can relate? Devin and I have been talking and sharing this information for, oh gosh, I don't know, what, a month now, or a little over a month, Devin, something like that?
Yeah, actually, I got a couple nibbles basically, so I just have to like follow up with these business owners. But there are business owners out there that need help. The majority aren't going to really need help, but there are people when they need help, they'll be like, "Yeah, let's get together, let's talk." Talk to my manager.
Well, but for the most part, especially if you're at a grand opening or a ribbon cutting, those are fairly new businesses, so they don't have anything really established yet. And that's the point of going to these kind of events, because you're catching them kind of at the beginning of their stage of the marketing development, and that's the most effective thing about all of this. I bumped into many that started a business, didn't have anything, didn't have Facebook, didn't have web page, didn't have anything, and that's in the business, don't we call that low-hanging fruit? I think something like that.
Yes, and both businesses that need help are the ones that just started.
Yes, exactly right. So that's what it has to do with growing your business. You're getting warm contacts. You're increasing your visibility constantly. And I'll tell you a quick story. I'd been to so many of these events, and I was just a regular fixture at these events in the process. I walked into a little morning cafe type place that was the place that the people near town hall went to, so I like to show up there. And I walked in one day, and just an associate of mine, not really a friend, he said, "Oh, Chris, hi, how you doing, buddy?" He says, "I saw you in the paper again." I said, "That's good, right? That's good." He says, "Well, I figured out finally why you go." I said, "Okay." I think his name was Jason. I said, "Jason, tell me, buddy." He says, "Because you like to eat and they serve food." And I just laughed because he had actually seen my picture so many times in the newspaper. So it kind of is one of those things along the way. I'm going to have to reset this darn thing again, I guess. Heck. Let's see here. Boom, boom, share. I hate it not clicking out easy so we can go on down the road. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on without it. The next thing I wanted to show you actually was an actual event. So I'm gonna keep trying here. If you bear with me just a moment, I am going to keep trying to make this work. I don't know if that's it or not. David, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. Okay. Did get it to work again. Just flipping around. And this is true. I don't care what size town it is. This is true in every size city. And primarily, if you think about it, in your big towns or your metropolitan areas, there are chambers of commerce within that large city. There may be a community. Most large cities have communities within communities, especially out in California, for example. You drive down the interstate and you just go from one community to the next community to the next community, but they all have their own chambers of commerce. It's true of any large metropolitan area. So you still have the same advantage as you would if you were in a small town atmosphere. So you need to think in terms of it, just because you're in a big city, you don't have to worry about it. So we've already talked about getting the chamber calendar, get the open events on there, and believe me, you're going to have that many, 10 to 12, maybe more, sales calls for the month, and they're all as warm as toast. And so what happens then? We already talked about it, so I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Golly, geez, look at that. I love technology. That's not it. There it goes. Okay. Now, this is an example of one of the award ceremonies, okay, where people were, this is a Business of the Month award. And I hate to get personal, but that's me at about 80 pounds heavier than I am now, accepting the Business of the Month for my agency. And A couple of my staff are on the left, and the gal in the middle is actually the owner of the newspaper, handed down to her through her family. They've owned the newspaper there 90 years. And she was there to make the presentation. And of course, it's a heck of an honor. I don't care. There's only 12 of them given a year, so it's a nice honor. And these are the things you want to go to. While we were having it, I happened to have a restaurant that I worked with all the time in marketing. He provided food for it. He provided so much food that we actually gave away the leftover food to a local battered woman's shelter charity that I work with quite often, so that they had it at their safe house. And if you know anything about Battered Women's Association, they have a safe house for their gals, and nobody, including me, knew where it was, as a matter of fact. So this is what you'll see at these events. You can see the number of people there, and in fact, that's not all of them because some of them left before we got the picture going. But that's the kind of group that shows up at these. And all those people, every one of those people standing up there, except the kids up front there, of course, all those people standing there are influencers in the community, every last one of them. And there's no doubt that having that visibility within the community and having them around you is nothing but just pure power. It's a powerful, powerful technique to it. So what's the plan? You know, all the calendar events related to the events at the business itself, social events. Yeah, social events are a little different. When you go to a social event, it's not like you can get somebody, the owner, to step aside. You know, that's more a social event, like an after hours or a breakfast meeting or something like that. That is a time when it's more like a networking event. So in the networking events, I had to find a way to stand out, but not stand out, but to learn something and to become more in with the influencers within the Chamber of Commerce. Now, how I did that was just by watching. Usually the influencers don't move around from group to group. People come to them. Now think about it for a minute. It's a fact. If you ever go to a networking group, the big dude that's there, he doesn't walk around and say hi to everybody. Everybody comes over and says hi to him. So I kept my eye open, and I kept watching for those people. And during the process, this is early in my development with my agency, and so I was able to pinpoint the guys that I wanted to get to know better. And I remember well the first after hours event I went to. I saw this one guy, and people were always coming up to him. So I went over and introduced myself. We hadn't met before. And I just asked him what he did. And he happened to be a local independent insurance guy, who former or past head of the Chamber of Commerce. And I said, you know, I've got a question for you. He says, you know, I'm fairly new to the community, and I really would like to know how best to help the community. Do you have a time I could drop by and just talk about the town, talk about the city, talk about the community? And he said, sure. What time you want to come by? So I wasn't going by to sell him anything. I went by and had a chat with him about how he got involved with the community, how I could get involved with the community. And in some ways, it was a bad mistake because he put me into some groups that I might not should have gotten into. But I mean, as far as time taking. But what I ended up with was a really good friend who recommended me all the time. Now, there are many people like that. And all you have to do is pick them out, ask them to help you understand the community better and how you can help the community better, and they will be your champions. Even if you don't work with them personally, you may have a chance to, but even if you don't work with them personally, you just made a friend. You've just made a friend with an influencer within the community, one that's going to recommend you. And if that by itself is not powerful, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and Christopher, can you actually go into the different owners that might be a little bit more influencers in the community? Can you go over some examples?
Sure. It's so varied though. It's kind of funny because one of the biggest influencers in town was a man who owned a funeral home. Now, he's the past regional guru for the Rotary Club, and he had all these credentials, believe me. And he was just one of these strong guys that had his fork in every pie in the area, but as friendly as he could be. And this particular guy was, let me tell you how special he was. Here's this new guy in town, me, right? And of course we've met, and I did a little work for him. Actually, it sounds strange, but I videotaped some funerals for him, okay? I had a Canon XL2, which I used, which is one of the big over-the-shoulder cameras that I had purchased used, and I put it to work. Believe me, I put it to work. But I'd done a couple of jobs for him. And he called me up one day, and he says, what are you doing tonight? And, of course, I'm single, obviously, widowed at that point. And I said, no, I'm not doing anything. What you got in mind? He says, I'm going over. I've got season tickets over to the Wake Forest basketball game. They're playing tonight. How about you going over there with me? So we went to the basketball game, sat down and watched a great Wake Forest University basketball game. Got to meet several other people that he knew. He introduced me to, and it was a fantastic evening. And that's one influencer. The other influencer I mentioned, the insurance guy. The other influencer actually was a guy who owned a convenience store. So they come from all backgrounds. It's not just, don't just look for bankers, because bankers are not necessarily your best target. They really aren't. They are in the Chamber of Commerce because they want the visibility for either their people or themselves. But as far as getting them to actually help you a bunch as an influencer, it's a little tough for them to do. They've got the corporate thing all over the umbrella that's shading them from actually being able to do things for you individually. So it kind of stops that a little bit. Devin, does that answer the question, you think, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to clarify that yeah, it could be pretty much anybody.
Yeah, pretty much anybody. So the main thing is just to keep your eyes and ears open. That's the main thing. Look for those people. You will notice them. If you actually are thinking about it, you will actually notice them. In the future, in some of our future get-togethers, I want to cover this more in depth in future ones too, because we've hit the surface. But the reason for our group is to go into other areas, how the chamber can help you grow your business and grow it more simply, if you will, and with deeper roots. Because you grow within the chamber, your roots of your business are going to be very, very deep. So we're going to cover a recruiting technique that'll place you in front of 4 business owners a week, down through working with establishing a monthly training. You know, I've had people, when I started putting out the word about this training for Chamber of Commerce, had people talking about, well, yeah, that's good. We can do a meet and greet and things like that. And I said, no. You're missing the point. You don't want to do training and put a group together. You want to be in charge of the training. And that can be done. And I did it. So I'll show you how in a week or two as we get into that area of growing with the chamber. You can also use the chamber as a monthly ad for you. And it's through techniques and becoming a part of their newsletter, which all chambers of commerce have newsletters. And those particular activities are very, very strong as far as their open rate. There are some other ways to get better open rates and so forth. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff in the future too. So hang on, because we have some other ways to actually get within the chamber. All the things we're talking about is working from the chamber, from the inside out, not from the outside in. You want to become a true part of the chamber. So you're working from the inside always. Now, there are some other techniques that you can use. I see, did Scott just come on the line, buddy? Scott, you unmute and say hi to us. Did you come on the line?
Hello. Yes, I did. Sorry, I was late. I was on a call, but very nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Scott.
I enjoyed Chris talking with him, and so nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, Scott soon will be showing us something that will be of interest to everybody as part of growing within the chamber. And actually, it's also inside out instead of outside in. So he'll be sharing some things that will be extremely profitable to you and the Chamber of Commerce in a few weeks here. So I wanted him to say hi to everybody while he had just come on the line.
I was a lot cuter
Yes.
when I had hair, but you know how aging process goes. So
Well, you see, I kept mine, Scott, I kept mine up here, and I just grew this. I haven't had this more than a month, so
well, I learned that even when you don't have much hair, they still like to charge you the same thing for whatever they do for you. So
yeah, haircuts, right? You don't need a haircut. You just
no big discount.
you just need an eagle up there taking it hair by hair.
David Bellinger knows what I'm talking about. They don't give us a break, do they, David?
No, sir. Can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
Since I am working at a school system, and I believe our Chamber of Commerce typically meets during those days. In fact, they come in and talk to.
Yeah, David, are you asking me this question? Or you're asking Scott? Which one?
Whoever wants to answer it, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're not available during those hours, what do you do?
Well, in your case, and you don't mind if I just tell you your recent success, do you, David? David, I don't even care if he says yes or no. David and I have been working together for the last several weeks, and he is a brand new novice to digital marketing, and we've been talking about the techniques and the ways to put things together. And lo and behold, after maybe 2.5 weeks of our talking, he goes into one of the clients that he's run into, because he gets out and about. He doesn't stay at home. Even though he works, he stays out and about. He landed his first social media marketing job yesterday at a huge price. And I'm really proud of David. So you guys should know that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Very big deal. He's got some other big ones on actually in the fire right now. So I'm very, very proud of David and what he's accomplished so far.
Well, I've had a good teacher.
Well, as far as getting to Chambers, they have after hours, and after hours will be around 5 o'clock. So you can go to those. And some of their open houses and ribbon cuttings are at noon. I don't know if they let you out of jail at noon or not to go to those things, but if they do, that's a possibility. But to be honest with you, 2 months from now, you're not going to have to worry about that. You're going to be out on your own anyway. You're going to be an independent agency, my man, all the way through. So, as they say that, fire some questions, guys. I appreciate David asking now, but I've just been talking because I want to share that information with you.
Is David's school public or private?
No,
It's a public. It's a city public high school.
Okay.
I thought you were asking about what prison he was in.
We actually had a question, and I answered it from Stan, but it's a really good question. He said, any ways to access free to build, to then pay membership, then to pay membership dues?
Oh, yeah, I mentioned that early, didn't I? And I forgot to bring that up. Yes, there are. In fact, I didn't pay for a membership until, I don't know, probably 7 years after I started with the chamber. I first just started going to these meetings, these events, and you can go to that without being a member. You don't have to be a member. You just have to look at the calendar, watch the calendar, know when they are, and just go. And by the way, if you go, people forget this. Make sure you have a really good name badge and wear it every time. I don't care what event you go to. Your name badge with your name and the company name on there is so important because they don't know you yet. And even after they get to know you, people forget your name unless you're a good salesman. And some of you, I know a lot of you guys are and can remember names easily, but a lot of people can't. So you go ahead and go to those. Start moving in that circle right there. You don't join the chamber yet. And then we have actually 2 techniques that will actually give you a free membership. So don't pay for a membership yet if you're not part of it. Just hang on, because we're going to show you in the next week or 2 exactly how to get it for free, benefit yourself, benefit the chamber, and be successful without paying for the membership.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, most of these events that are happening are pretty much for free. So I've been to a couple of expos, that's completely free event, that's open to the public. And there's some other events like I know some ribbon cuttings are actually not really open. It's more for the ambassadors. So sometimes it's tight knit ribbon cutting, but sometimes they're during open houses as well. It's right before. So then of course that's going to be open for you to go and to talk and stuff like that, and meet up with the business owner. So there's options out there that you don't have to pay. So plus at the events, there's free food at the open houses. Usually an actual restaurant owner or whatever will actually provide that at their place or at a different location. So
that's pretty cool. That's the reason I got ribbed by my friend. You go because there's free food. Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay. I didn't mind. If that's the way he wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. And I pause share. Boom. Let's get out of stop share.
As long as, if I could just say that Devin has been very helpful to me. I mean, he's taken time, as a lot of the people that I know, that have been very helpful. I've asked a lot of questions, and but I just wanted to thank him. Take time to thank him.
Well, thank you for being a part of the group.
I see too. Blaine is here. Hey, Blaine, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, he's an old established veteran here, and in fact, he's actually used the. A lot of you know about the check-in system, right? It doesn't have anything to do with the chamber, but Blaine actually put a check-in system at the car wash. How about that? Blaine, tell him a little bit about it real quick.
Well, yeah, I'm working with this. I'm trying to work with this car wash guy who washes my car, but I got a lot of learning from that by suggesting to him that we could run a Facebook check-in program, and basically we printed up. Well, we haven't printed it yet because we want him to pay for the printing, but we came up with a demo that just shows how you can check in. So you just explain to the car wash customers just step 1 and step 2 about how to check in. And then you also need to talk to the owner, car wash owner, about what that means for the business, because people are sharing, word of mouth with all of their friends, maybe 100 or 200 friends, that, hey, I just checked into Smart Shine Car Wash. And by the way, here's a picture of my car now that it's all washed up. And you could just build the visibility of that business and through a different way. It's like free advertising, because people are just using Facebook for what it's already providing. You're not having to pay Facebook for that. And everybody has their own group of friends, and that tight-knit group of friends is very powerful. So that's what I'm working on.
And I know Blaine has a huge project that he's got. He's hoping it comes to fruition here soon too. Thanks, Blaine. Appreciate you sharing that, buddy.
Sure.
We're in the process too of. This is kind of a close-knit group at this point, and I think it'll grow some. But if you guys think that what you've heard today is worthwhile, and what other things are coming down the road, share it with some of the other folks. Invite some other folks into the group. We'd love to have anyone that would like to come and join us. We're all, as we go along, I'm going to make sure that everybody has at least some actionable information every time we have this call, and we're going to do it every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. I know we're only 43 minutes in right now, so other questions, guys? Anything on what we've talked about today about getting in and getting warm contacts while you're doing it? Any questions on that?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Blaine.
Well, you talked about meeting people like influencers and such, but how do you casually, that's kind of a casual meeting with this insurance guy or whomever. How do you actually save that information on your smartphone or get his business card? What's your recommendation on that? Because I might lose track of them.
Well, yeah. If I'm going to set an appointment with an influencer, and I've gone up to him and said, I'd like to learn more about the community, that's the reason I want to talk to you. Is that what you're saying? Those guys?
No, you were like, at a basketball game and you meet several other people, or you go to a meeting and you meet 6 or 7 other people, but it's just sort of shake hands kind of thing. You're not actually taking note of their information.
No,
How do you?
no, I don't. In fact, well, I've been in sales for so many years, I remember names. But when for example, in that particular situation, I met 4 people, all very much influencers, and I remembered at least their first names and so forth. And when I got back in the vehicle to drive back with my funeral director friend, quote, quote, I asked him about each one. And he gave me all kinds of knowledge about every person. And I was able then to jot it down, and it was very helpful.
Okay.
And he was more than willing to share. He didn't care. He told me everything about him. I was kind of like, oh yeah, this guy's done this. Yeah, he's done that. And he's involved in this big group and all that good stuff. It's always interesting. Everybody's got a story, right? Everybody's got a story.
Good to take notes. Have a little, maybe a little notebook or something you can carry around with you and put in your pocket.
Not a bad idea at all. Yeah, Devin just showed his right there.
That's good.
All right. Stan, you haven't said much. You got anything you want to add, buddy? Or Kevin? Stan, Kevin, Bob? What you guys thinking out there? Okay. All right. Well, folks, and Gio, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, buddy. I know Gio's out there in Pomona, California, and he's on the road. I think he's driving, so who knows about that. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I guess we'll sign off for today. Hopefully I will see all of you back. We had a really good crowd today for our first meeting, so thanks, guys, for showing up. And again, I hope you found it of interest. I really do hope you did find it of some interest. And we'll have a lot more to talk about. So for now,
yep.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Sorry I was late, guys. I'll see you next time.
All right, buddy.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.